Okay, guys, so today we have a basic Python script. This is just so you guys can get your hands dirty in writing a simple Python script that you can use in your lab so that you can see the power of Python and what it can do for your environment. Now, I will say that do practice this in a lab environment. Don't do it in a production environment because if you're not sure what the outcome is going to be, you don't want to bring down a production environment. So that being said, let's start. So here at the top, I have called in two modules. I have called in import getPass, and I've called in import telnetlib. So getPass is a module that is used to pass in your password. The telnetlib is a module that you're using to telnet into your device. Now, with Python, I have not come across a SSH module. Um, that is with PyRMeco, NetMeco, Napalm. They all have SSH modules. But this video is just to give you guys understanding of Python and to show off just raw Python in itself. And it's something that I think that everybody should learn if you're in the network automation space, so that when you see a Python script, that you can identify it and know what's going on in the script. So don't mind that import get fast is grayed out right now. I'm going to get to that later on. So right now we're calling on the telnet library module so we can telnet into the device. So here we have a few variables that I put in. So my host variable right here is going to this device here. Now I put in IP address here. This can also be a DNS name, but I didn't do DNS, so I'm just using the IP address. My user variable here is my username, and my password here, password variable is the password to get into the device. Now, here I'm putting in a variable and calling on the telnet library. And what I'm going to do is telnet to the host. Now, if you notice, host here is this variable that I've included here, which is pointing to my IP address of the device. Tn here is a variable for telnet. This is my own variable. This can be whatever you guys want. This can be Tn. You can put in tel if you want. You can put in Tn12345 if you want. But just be known that this variable will be used throughout the script to call on. So most people use Tn because Tn for telnet. So I'm just going to stick with Tn here. Um, so what we're doing here first. So right here, we're telling the telnet library that we wanted to read until you see the word username. Now, if you have to know your CLI commands also so that you know what's going on. So that what it's going to do is this is going to tell it into the device and read the output until it says username. I'm going to explain later on what B is, what encode ASCII is doing, what slash n is doing. Right now, I'm just going to explain to you what's actually happening with the script. So once it sees username, then it's going to write my username, which is up here, and press enter. If there is a password, which most of the time there will be, but if there is a password, I want it to read until it sees the word password. Once it sees the word password, then I want to write in my password. Once that's done, I am essentially telnetted into the switch. Now, once I'm in the switch, here's where I write my commands. Now, this is where Python will get lengthy because if you notice here, I have some commands grayed out, but I'll get to that later. But if you want, each command has to be written on a separate line. Now, there are other ways that you get into Python that you can do if-else statements. There are other things that you can do to shorten this, but for now, this is just a basic script. So what I'm going to do with this basic script is just do a show run command. Now, if you do a show run command, you know that the default output is, I think, is 24 lines. So what I've done here is to do a terminal length 0. So basically, when this runs the show run, it's going to give me the entire show run. So I will put this in first, show terminal length 0, and then I'll do a show run. Once I do the show run, I'm going to exit out of the CLI. And this down here, what this is doing is this is going to print me the output from what the Telnet library gathered, and it's going to decode it for me, and then it's going to close the script. So now let me get to what decode ASCII is, encode ASCII, and the /n and the B. So here's my username. My username is pointing to this variable here, which is pointing to my name, which is a string. I have to pass this string into, I have to take this string and pass it into my device in bytes. So when I'm using encode ASCII, I'm actually taking my username, which is actually in string format, converting it into bytes to pass into the switch. B is doing the same thing. /n stands for enter. So when you see /n, that means I'm just basically hitting the enter key on the keyboard. And B here is turning this into a byte. So because you can't have a string and you can't have a byte, it has to be a byte and a byte to pass into the device. And so it's the same thing down here. I'm encoding the password, which is a string, to a byte, and I'm also hitting enter, but I'm making sure that command is a byte with the B. There are certain characters that you cannot use all over the place in your script. As you see B here, B is for byte. That is a standard letter in Python for byte. So it's not like you can use that and say, oh, I'm just going to put B here and make that a variable for something. That you're probably going to get an error back. So if I go down here and decode, now I'll show you this. If I don't have decode here, this is going to print me back the information back in byte format, which is not exactly human readable. So this decode ASCII is going to make it human readable. So when I see the output back, it's going to be just like I'm sitting in front of the machine, did a show run, and the same output that you would get back from your showing command is what you would get back here. And tn close is going to close out the script. If I don't close out the script, sometimes you'll get it where it's just cycling, going into garbage, and you get all kind of crazy stuff. Like sometimes I've seen errors where I have line 308, there's an error on line 308, but as you can see, this script is only 28 lines of code. So let me go ahead and run it, and you will see the output on the right side of my screen, probably your left. Also too, I am using PyCharm as an IDE. I would suggest using PyCharm as an IDE because once you download PyCharm as IDE, it does have the Python library built into it, and this is directly in Windows. So I know most people don't have Linux. Some people don't want to touch Linux. So this is an alternative way I found if you're not a Linux person like I am, that you can do it straight into Windows. And also, I'm going to run this script right now, and you're going to see the results of the script. I'm sorry about that. Let me put this script on this side here. And so this is a latest script that I was running. So let me get rid of it. Okay. So now that I can do that, let me just go. Let me see if I can pop this out really quick. my toolbar won't come up, so I'll just do it this way. Okay, so here it is. This is the output of running that script. As you can see, show command, everything in the show command, all lines are here included. Now, just to give you some idea of that this is not just a generic show command, I am going to actually, as you can see right here, I have interface loopback 1.1.1.1 to 5.2.5.2.5.2.5. I am going to remove that and create a show and run the show command again, and you will see that this will not be here. So back over here to the script. Once I tell that in, I need this guy to actually do a conf t. Once I do a conf t, I wanted to remove the interface loopback. Once I remove the interface loopback 1, I then wanted to exit out of that so that I can get back to privilege mode. And then I'm going to run my terminal length 0. I'm going to run show run, exit out, and print out the output. So let's run that again. Make it bigger. And so now let's scroll up. And as you can see, the interface loopback is now gone. And it's just as simple as to put it back. I can uncomment these commands. By the way, when you see these commands with a hashtag or # in front of it, I am commenting out those commands, which basically is just telling the script to skip over this line, so it won't read this at all. So now that I have uncommented all these commands, all those lines, I'm going to do a conf t. I'm going to put in interface loopback 1. I'm going to give it an IP address. I'm going to exit. I'm going to exit back to privilege mode, run terminal length 0, show run, exit, and print. And there you have it. The loopback is now back into the device. So one more thing I'm going to show you guys is, you notice I have my username and password here. So I'm going to get to this get pass module right now. It's not good practice to have your username and password showing up in your scripts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make use of the get pass module. So here, I'm going to take out my password. I'm going to input, and I'm going to say, please enter your username. And for password, I'm going to call on the get pass module. So now what's going to happen is when I run, as you can see now, the get pass module has come to life. And so now what's going to happen is when I run this script, it's going to ask me for my username. It's going to ask me for my password. And then it's going to run the script as you see here. One thing I found with PyCharm IDE is that if I just do a regular run, so I can run the script, when I'm using getPass, it doesn't work. So what I'm going to have to do is run a debug. So let me get rid of this guy here. Let me debug. And so here you'll see I will enter in my username. I'll enter my password. Script ran. And there you have it. And so let's get rid of this loopback interface just so we can see that the script is actually running. So remember what I said, if you comment out certain lines, the script will pass over it. Basically, I don't want to comment that out. I want to conf and I want to say no to that interface. I don't need this in there anymore. I only need to exit out once. Then I'll run terminal link 0, show run, exit, print. So let's debug this again, and let's see if the loopback disappears. And there you have it. Loopback interface is gone. So I know I would say I'm going to show you one more thing. If I remove this decode ASCII, so now it's going to print and read all and give me the output. So I'll show you what this output looks like. This is the output here. As you can see, it's not really readable per se. You can make out what it's doing, but it's not the output that you're expecting. So this is why we decode it. So that once it's decoded from binary to ASCII, it's readable for us. So let's run that one more time. And there you have it. And so this was just a simple script just to do a show run. I just added in IP address loopback so that you can see that it actually is doing different things. I do have plans on adding to the script so that we can do better things like let's add VLANs, we can add OSPF, EIGRP, and we'll harness the power of Python even more by actually running the script against 4, 5, 6 devices at the same time.